In today's bell work, you will need to write a sentence that contains zu Hause. You will also need to write a street name in German, doesn't matter which street, could even be a German street. And you must also write a full question sentence in German. In today's lesson, we will be studying numbers. If you were to flip to page 44 in your paper textbook thing, we will start with the first number, which is 10. And can someone please say that auf Deutsch? Now, we will move on to the second number, which is 20. Auf Deutsch, please. And now let's move on to the third number, probably of which you don't know. It is 30. And from there, we will continue on moving to 40, which is 40. Moving on from there, we can move to 50, which is 50. Then on to 60 and 70, 60 and 70. 80 is 80, 90 is 90. And of course, how do you say 100? 100, or 100, whichever works. Also in today's second lesson, we will be going over time expressions. As to say clock, you say Uhr, which means clock in German, spelled U-H-R. And in order to ask how much time do you have, you must say wie viel Uhr ist es, which means in English, how much time do you have? Because that's something you need to know in German. And we will also be going into wie viel Uhr kommst du rüber, which means what time will you be coming over, which is tomorrow. But continuing on. As we move back to page 44, where the clocks are above the numbers that we have just read, you can see that they tell the times of the clock. Now, most is simple to understand, like es ist eins, which is it is one, but there are some like halb, meaning half in Deutsch. So when we say es ist halb zehn, it means it is half till 10, not half after 10. Which is right? I think so. We will require you to read Ist sie zu Hause? I did not butcher things. And then answer the questions on page 37A in your paper textbook thingy. Yep. And now we move on to page 43, because we're going backwards in the textbook, because that's how we like to do things. And we're going over family members, die Familie. And as you see, the first one is der Bruder, which means the brother. And we will go, and the second one is der Cousin, or cousins, which means cousin or cousins, depending on whether you want to make it plural or non-plural, and that is also male, whereas die Cousine is female. And die Eltern is parents, die Familie, or Familien, if you want to pluralize it, is the family. And in order to say grandparents, you say die Großeltern or die Großmutter, which either means grandparents, grandmother, and die Großvater, meaning grandfather. Now, der Onkel is pretty easy to understand. It means uncle. And die Schwester, which means sister. Die Sohn, which means son. Kind of sounds like Sohn, but it's not. Die Tanten, which means aunt or aunts plural if you say die Tanten or die Tante. And die Tochter, meaning daughter. And die Vater, der Vater, meaning father or dad. Okay, and now moving on to our next lesson, you are in need to read pages 40 through 41, which is talking about telephones. Don't worry and don't fret, it is not in German. Although I might ask you to write in it in German, but no, I'm not going to be that cruel. And as you go over these pages, please remember that you need to make sure to know how to spell telephone, know what it is, and know how to say it. You might be tested on that later, who knows? Ooh. And then after that, you will need to go and complete the questions on page 42A, lesson 8. Okay, now that y'all have completed page 42A, lesson 8, we will go over the questions. So, number 1, the German word for long-distance call is? Now, number 2, the blank for Germany is 49. Number 3, another word for telephone is... Number 4, a cell phone is called a... Number 5, if the public phone won't accept coins, you'll need a... 6, when a phone number is not known, the caller can either look it up in a phone book or call. 7, the official currency in Germany today is the... 8, a blank located outside of buildings is where many people make their calls. Okay. Also, another lesson for today will be conjugating kommen. Can anyone tell me how to conjugate kommen? No? Okay. So, in order to conjugate kommen, you must know that E, STT, EN, TEN, which are the endings that must be put at the end of kommen whenever pronouncing the pronouns. So, as we go, it is ich komme, du kommst, kommt, sie kommt, es kommt, wir kommen, ihr kommt, sie kommen, capitalized sie, and then lowercase z kommen. In another today's lesson, we will be going over why and how the prefix goes at the end of the sentence. The two examples I have with us today, rüberkommen and Fernsehen. Now, can anyone in the class tell me, when do the prefixes go at the end of the sentence? At the end. So as we see here in Ich habe Fernsehen, which is the improper sentence, which must be refixed into saying Ich habe sehen fern. And with the same sentence that is also wrong, Ich habe rüberkommen, whereas it should be Ich habe kommen rüber. In the next lesson, we will be studying formation of questions, and those questions have to begin with a question word, which are wer, wie, was, and warum, which all have their different types of formations as we would have in English. And the question word always goes at the beginning of the sentence. Really, that's about all you need to know about question sentences. So you need to put the question word in front of the sentence.